More renters competing for limited homes gives landlords pricing power. Seen when 10 families applying for one apartment pushes offers upward. Availability is the first pressure. The final point is this. Rent pressure comes from local supply, local demand, and the cost of holding property. Households feel the change first in monthly bills, job security, and borrowing choices. New construction can lag. Homes take years to approve, finance, and build. Seen when a city gains jobs this year but apartments arrive 3 years later. The clean takeaway is this. Rent pressure comes from local supply, local demand, and the cost of holding property. The pressure shows up when a city gains jobs this year but apartments arrive 3 years later. People pay more near jobs, schools, transit, and safety. Version. Two similar flats differ sharply because one is near a metro line. Rent buys access, not just rooms. The situation can be read with less confusion. The specific clue is new workers competing for too few apartments, which points back to housing supply, renter demand, landlord costs, zoning, and construction delays. Ownership costs pass through. Higher property taxes, insurance, repairs, or financing can push asking rents up. Notice this. A landlord with a new roof bill raises rent at renewal. Costs matter but do not explain everything. The lasting point is this. Rent pressure comes from local supply, local demand, and the cost of holding property. Interest rates affect rent. Higher mortgage rates keep some buyers renting and raise investor costs. Daily version. Would-be buyers stay in rental markets longer. Rent and ownership markets interact. Households feel the change first in monthly bills, job security, and borrowing choices. Income growth can lift rents. When local wages rise, landlords may charge more if tenants can pay. A tech hub with high salaries pulls rents upward. Ability to pay shapes pricing. Households feel the change first in monthly bills, job security, and borrowing choices. Homes used for tourists can shrink long-term supply. Seen when an apartment building shifts units to nightly stays. Tourism demand can pressure residents. When an apartment building shifts units to nightly stays, rent rises when demand for homes grows faster than the available supply renters can actually use. Rent rises fastest when more people want homes in an area than the area can supply at the current price. The issue begins with zoning limits density. Rules about height, parking, or land use can restrict new homes. The detail turns uncertainty into a smaller question. Households feel the change first in monthly bills, job security, and borrowing choices. Notice renovations reset prices first. Upgraded units can move into a higher rent bracket. Think of new kitchens and flooring turn affordable units into premium listings. Improvement can also displace. The simple version is this. Rent pressure comes from local supply, local demand, and the cost of holding property. Vacancy rate is key. Low vacancy means renters have little leverage. Concrete case. If only 2 apartments are available, negotiation becomes hard. Empty units give tenants options. When if only 2 apartments are available, negotiation becomes hard. Rent rises when demand for homes grows faster than the available supply renters can actually use. Landlords watch market comps. Rent is often set by nearby listings, not only the current tenant's history. Comparable rents guide pricing. The useful ending is this. Rent pressure comes from local supply, local demand, and the cost of holding property. Changing course early is usually easier than repairing the damage after it grows. Moving costs trap tenants. Even unhappy renters may pay increases to avoid deposits, movers, and disruption. Think of a family accepts a rent hike to keep children in the same school. Friction gives landlords leverage. Households feel the change first through bills, jobs, savings, and borrowing decisions. A practical check is new jobs, then limited apartments, Together they show whether the response matches the real cause. Rent controls have trade-offs. Caps can protect current tenants but may reduce supply or maintenance incentives. Picture: a landlord delays upgrades when future rent is tightly limited. The clearest summary is this: rent pressure comes from local supply, local demand, and the cost of holding property. Look for measurable clues. Look at vacancies, new construction, wages, migration, interest rates, and landlord costs in the same area. The real-world test is limited apartments. If that changes, the outcome usually changes too. New residents arriving faster than housing expands raise pressure connects the private choice to the visible outcome. Example: a city becomes popular after remote work and rents jump. The pressure shows up when a city becomes popular after remote work and rents jump. Materials, labor, utilities, and insurance can rise with general prices. In practice, a basic repair costs more than it did last year. Operating costs feed rent decisions. The point to remember is this: rent pressure comes from local supply, local demand, and the cost of holding property. Follow the visible clues. Look at vacancies, new construction, wages, migration, interest rates, and landlord costs in the same area. Tenants can respond strategically. Timing, neighborhood flexibility, and longer leases can help. Imagine renting slightly off-season may improve bargaining. Households feel the change first in monthly bills, job security, and borrowing choices. Rent becomes painful when supply cannot respond quickly. New buildings need land, permits, finance, labor, and time, while new renters can arrive immediately. Rising rent is not one cause. Local rules, jobs, credit, migration, and construction all combine. Think of two cities can have different rent stories in the same economy. Look at the local mix. In the end, rent pressure comes from local supply, local demand, and the cost of holding property. New construction takes time, so demand can rise long before fresh supply reaches renters. Rent keeps rising when too many people need homes faster than new supply. Incomes, zoning, interest rates, and landlord costs can adjust gives the topic a real-world shape. The useful lesson is to look beyond the monthly bill and ask what is squeezing the market: shortage, location demand, financing costs, or policy limits. A real-life version is the monthly rent is a signal from the whole local housing system. A renter sees one monthly bill, but inside that bill are land costs, mortgage rates, taxes, repairs, insurance, demand, and competition. Rent pressure grows when more households compete for homes than the local market can comfortably supply. A city can add jobs faster than it adds apartments, and landlords may also face higher mortgage payments, taxes, repairs, and insurance. Rent keeps rising when more people need homes than the market can provide at comfortable prices. The cost becomes visible when new workers competing for too few apartments. Rising rent is usually a supply and demand problem felt through a household budget. That timing gap is why a growing city can feel unaffordable even while cranes are visible on the skyline. The pressure can come from new jobs, slow construction, higher mortgage costs, investor demand, zoning limits, or landlords passing on taxes and repairs. The renter feels all of those forces as one monthly number. When jobs, migration, mortgage costs, taxes, repairs, and limited construction push against the same housing stock, the renter experiences it as one larger monthly payment. The renter sees one number, but inside it are land scarcity, construction delays, financing costs, and competition from other tenants.